Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Greetings and welcome to the October 22nd, 2025 meeting of the Exeter Budget Recommendations Committee. I'm Bob Kelly, the chair of the committee. Start off with introductions. To my right,
Anna Grazier, General Government Subcommittee and Vice Chair.
yeah, they haven't made you chair quite yet.
But
Next year.
I was like, co, no, it's not co, it's vice.
Hold on.
Yes.
I'm Fred Hall, and I'm on the Water and Sewer Subcommittee.
Melissa Roy, interim town manager.
Evening, everyone. Corey Stevens, Finance Director.
Don Cloutier on the Fire Police Subcommittee.
Judy Rowan, Police Fire Subcommittee Chair.
Liz Canada, Library, Parks and Rec, Welfare, DPW General.
Chris Suter, I don't have nameplates, so I guess I'm good to go. No? All right. Let's see, Parks and Rec, Library, and Human Services.
And our cookie baker?
No, I didn't do that.
Fran Hall,
Cookie baker today.
spreading the wealth. Andrew?
Andrew Elliott, DPW General.
Amanda Kelly, she, her, General Government Subcommittee Chair and DPW General.
Thank you, everyone. And off mic are members of the staff of the police and fire departments who we'll be hearing from this evening. So Judy Rowan is the chair of the Police and Fire Subcommittee. She'll be leading us through the budget, starting on page 16 in tab 2 of the budget book. And we have a CIP item to discuss at the end. But
We will actually start on page 18, so that we can honor the fire department request to
that
go first.
the meeting is yours, Dr. Rowan.
Okay. You gentlemen want to cut one off? Okay. And my subcommittee member is Don Cloutier. You'll see he's a wingman tonight. He just had rotator cuff surgery. And on my right, we have Chief Izon and Assistant Chief Matheson, who will be helping us. I'll just read my summary report. The Exeter Fire Department presents a budget that is lean yet preserves its ability to provide the high level of service that Exeter residents have come to expect. The budget that the subcommittee reviewed was previously scrubbed by the finance director and assistant town manager. Oh, that's interim, excuse me.
It's okay.
Interim town manager. The new CBA includes a 10.5% salary increase and a 2-week increase in sick leave that now allows earned sick time to be used for maternity, paternity leave. Despite these increases, the department budget comes in at a remarkably low 4.3% increase and health at -5%. The subcommittee does not recommend any changes to this preliminary budget. Exeter is fortunate to have a fire department that is fully staffed. Given the extremely tight labor market, there is much competition for these highly skilled firefighter EMTs. As a result, retention is a key issue for the department. Unlike the police department, the fire department, new hires must be credentialed before they are hired. In the past, new hires had to be fully trained. Now the department will hire basic EMTs and train them up to be full paramedics. The department maintains a staff level of 7 per shift, 24/7, but may drop to 6 if needed to accommodate personnel on leave. The department is still awaiting delivery of the ambulance ordered in 2022. A second ambulance was to be replaced in 2025, but that request has been pushed out until delivery of the first ambulance, now expected in fall 2025. The subcommittee inquired into the impact of the continuation of Exeter Hospital's advanced life support service. There has been no increase in volume noted as surrounding towns have joined together to hire personnel to fill the gap. Exeter's Select Board did approve the department's request to pursue rapid sequence intubation, previously performed by Exeter Hospital's ALS service. The fire department is now credentialed to perform this life-saving procedure. We also discussed the impact of the department's services, of the downsizing of the police station, fire substation, and we're reassured that all critical functions were preserved. And we'd be happy to answer people's questions on that in greater detail if you desire, once we go through the budget. Okay. So looking at the specifics, let's see. So increases in several overtime items are due to the CBA and to cover overtime without having to borrow from another budget line during the year, as they have had to do in the past. So specific items, 51410 probably caught your attention. The sick replacement overtime. There's a noticeable decrease. This is from historical data. So this is the best estimate figure of expected sick time. So that accounts for that. The other overtime figures, if you look at them and they seem a little larger than some years, just subtract the 10.5% CBA increase of salary and wages, and you'll have a good general idea of what the increase would have been otherwise.
Wait, can you say that again? What does that mean?
So when
You're
you
doing
look at-
math now.
Overtime is always an issue that we look at very
Yeah.
carefully, and some of these have large increases, and they are due to the CBA. So if you
Okay.
subtract the 10.5 increase in salary and wages, you come down to
Okay.
a more usual figure for percent increase.
I got you.
51600 is another item you might have noticed, the minus 40%. So there was only one person now on call, and I think it's fair to say those days of on-call personnel really are behind us. People are no longer in that sort of volunteer, we're available sort of thing. Everybody has jobs, and so there's just one person now in that capacity. 55019. The breathing apparatus. This is the annual service increase by the manufacturer. It's used for testing and cleaning. 55043. Again, a huge decrease, minus 99.9%. The department no longer has Jason Schreiber to do the communications. But they kept the line. If there's a future emergency issue, Jason has promised that he would return to write whatever is needed. So they are maintaining that line. 55091, education and training. I said there is an increase there, as you see. And then this is according to the CBA. Employees here for 1 year may get 50% of associate's degree paid, and once they reach 5 years, that benefit goes to 75% of a bachelor's degree may be paid. 55144. The hazmat supplies, an increase, a substantial increase there. This is for air monitoring sensors. You see the dollar amount is under $1,000, but still the percentage increase may have got your attention. 55230 is protective equipment. Last year, the department bought new PFAS-free gear, and this is for repair and washing of the existing gear. And the department plans to replace, to cycle out old gear by 2027. 55308. This is for Eric Wilkins, Emergency Management Travel. He has not been using all the travel allocated, so it decreased that line. And if you turn over to health on page 21, at 55091, down at the bottom, education training, the health officer has completed her master's degree, so this line has decreased substantially.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Seeing none. That was
I have
really
one.
nice.
I have a couple, too.
Go ahead.
You can go, too, but...
Go ahead.
Christine.
This is Andrew Elliott, who has a question.
Thank you, Judy. I'm just wondering with the protective equipment line and replacing 2 this year, since we just replaced everything and this being a tight budget year, is it possible that we could defer to like maybe 1 this year and then roll it out to 2028 to do that?
So, little historical perspective. In 2024, our budget was $54,802 in that line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Last year, when PFAS free gear was used partly
ARPA funds,
partly
right.
out of our budget, the agreement was we would cut it out. The budget cut was for 1 year. Because they knew and that was very well articulated in Russ's presentation last year. Because the gear was delayed, like everything else nowadays is delayed, in good conscience, I said, I'm not going to ask for a full restoration to where we were in 2024 because it came later than we expected. However, I'm going to take some blame for this. I inadvertently cut out a service last year that I didn't realize was in that budget line until afterwards. And that is a company called Redline who comes in and services our gear. We've tried to source out anything that I can picture as a liability on the town or on the fire department. We've tried to farm out to other people that are experts in their field. So part of that restoration of that line is for that service, which is just under $9,000. That gear wasn't replacing all of our gear, it replaced half of our gear. So what we're trying to do with that budget line, historically speaking, has been every year we do between 5 and 7 sets of gear, so that every 5 years, those sets of gear are being cycled out. So we want to get rid of the other half of that PFAS impregnated gear. So we didn't come back asking for the full restoration. We came back asking for a number that we knew we could live with next year, so I prefer not to defer it. It's a pretty important initiative that we're working on right now.
Okay, yeah, it just was saying 2 sets in 2026, so it's usually 5 to 7 is what we're typically...
Yes.
Okay.
The budget with the number we're going to put forward is only going to support regular replacement of that many sets. That also is where our new hires come from. I know Judy just articulated that we're fully staffed, and I had a resignation notice to me this afternoon. So as quickly as we are fully staffed, we're back to not fully staffed here in the near future. And so when that goes through, obviously that gear has to get bought, and we're talking about $4,000 a set just for the fire gear. Never mind the uniforms, the boots, the gloves, the helmets, and everything else. So it's everything has become so expensive that it's pretty tough to swallow, but it is what it is.
What's the year-to-date on that, Corey, on that line?
2025.
Protective.
Protective equipment.
230, yeah.
6,000.
Through August, it was 13,167.
So no update to that?
I can give you an update. I have the most current budget with me if you'd like it.
That would be awesome.
Minus 4,773.03, 109.7% spent.
So what was that again?
Yeah.
So the budget's 21,000. and
This is
you-
the I can't tell you, this is the protective equipment line.
Yeah.
So this, I only have a line item on it. This is the line item budget, the bottom line budget. Is the budget for 2025 was $49,409, and to date, now there was some encumbered money in there from the gear purchase, but right now, that line is at minus 4773.03.
So we spent close to.
So the delta between 49 and 21 was the ARPA money.
Encumbered, you
Yes, well, the 50, correct, 49 to 54, well, there was $28,409 encumbered from 2024.
Okay.
So it's not uncommon for a line, a specific line in a department's budget to go somewhat over, as long as, and we monitor bottom line for each department, and then we monitor bottom line for the entire general fund, water and sewer. And as long as we are in check there, we can work with the department to move money out as we need to.
Yes, and actually, I should say in fairness, this is a side note, big fire in Atlantic Fuels a couple years ago, big Epping, Preparator side, we lost 4 sets of gear in that fire. Our insurance company, Primex, denied the claim, so it was tied up in litigation. We'd never expected to see anything, and a check for $11,700 showed up. A few months ago, I approached the select board and asked, can I take that money and add it on to the existing bulk order of gear, because it was leveraged, a discount on that, I want to take advantage of it. And the select board approved me, so in fairness, that line had $11,000 taken out of it. That is in another account, and Corey can explain that.
So we received a check for 11 and change. We cannot net income against expense lines. That's just budgeting law. So I have to show that as a revenue, but then it allows the department to overspend the line as long as we can.
Right.
And the last thing we spent on was $39,600 on to Bergeron for that piece
correct.
of the protective gear.
We will be at minus $11,000 here pretty quick, the money, because we have all the money allocated out of that line. So
Right.
that 11,000, we will show a minus $11,000 balance on that line, knowing it's offset by that check that was received.
Are you all set?
I have more questions, but you.
Can I just say
Go
something
for it.
on that?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, this was a different.
Yeah,
line, so.
I just want to say, I feel like that gear is really important, right? Like the PFAS-free gear
Yeah.
is like very important for the health and safety of the officers going forward, right? Or not officers, sorry.
Yeah,
Personnel.
so
Personnel.
I'll give you the quick history. Came out last year, the vapor barrier was only one on the market. Globe did some independent testing. It didn't pass their wash cycle testing, so they wouldn't sell it to us. That's why it was delayed. Another manufacturer came out with one that was better, met Globe's requirements, so then Globe produced the gear. There's about 10,000 plus PFAS chemicals out there. Scientifically, you can only test for about 100, and it's through gas chromatograph. They basically have to burn the material. When it off-gases, they can figure out what level of fluorine is really what they're looking for in that gear. And that fluorine was in the vapor barrier and the outside shell. So picture a firefighter going in a fire, which is already highly carcinogenic with smoke and everything else, and then my gear could be off-gassing those carcinogens. It's a huge health and safety concern.
Yeah. Thank you.
I have a different line item question.
Sure.
I just had just like looking through the explanations and things, there seems to be a couple of different lines for what I'd call sort of just maintenance of gear between, uniforms, and you've got laundry under building supplies,
Yep.
as well as some other, I'm trying to, it was difficult for me to figure out what the costs were and how they're getting allocated to different lines.
So laundry is exactly what it is. Laundry, we prohibit people taking their uniforms home. We don't want people taking their uniforms home with bodily substances and anything else and exposing their family members. So it's been a historical rule before I started there, is that you leave the uniforms at work. So so when you see laundry, it's truly for laundry detergent, is what that is. Uniforms are for uniforms. The uniforms we're wearing now come out of the uniforms line. Protective equipment is only for the what you see for firefighting and structural firefighting gear. But it could be extrication gloves for car accidents, like it's the helmets, it's boots, it's gloves, it's the hoods. That is protective equipment. Uniforms are truly what you see people wearing day to day is what our uniform line is for.
And when I was looking back at historical, the uniform lines are not getting typically up to the $30,000 number you're requesting.
I can only go by, I have in writing, this year we spent an enormous amount of time soliciting prices from all of our vendors for 2026. Extremely difficult. People are trying to project something almost a year away at the time. We're starting to work on our budgets in like July. So
this increase is just what we're
they
thinking.
anticipate. We use Ben's uniform in downtown Amesbury. I have
like
in
that,
writing
yeah.
from them
That's where I get my Boy
stating
Scout
they
stuff.
believe we will see an overall around 15% increase in our uniform purchases next year.
Time to shop that around again. Sorry,
Yeah.
Vince.
I'll be honest, there's not a lot of options. I mean, we can go online. We use some online vendors. When you're having stuff, you go to buy a pair of pants, you want to get a 34 waist, with what I get. They come in like a length of like 100. Like every single piece of you put on, they're all tailored. You can't buy like a 34, 32. That's not how it. So you get fitted. They come out with measuring tape. They put pins in your ankles. It's super hard. Some things we do. Donnie does a lot of our procurement. A lot of that is done online.
I thought you were going to say he was sewing it up in the back.
No.
Donnie, good job, buddy.
His wife is
not sewer.
His wife is fantastic and has helped us out a lot when it comes to stuff like that. So
She should get a raise.
yeah, she definitely should.
So this is just projecting that increase of 15% of the costs. That's
Yeah.
why.
It's nothing. We're not adding any more.
Because historically, we just haven't spent that. That's all.
No.
Let's spend those numbers. Well, I was just looking back at some of the previous years. It was, and I don't know what we have for a current spend for that line item, but it said 20 as of August.
21.6.
21.6. And previous years, just from looking back at the other years, it was 20 to 30, and now. So we're basically budgeting the worst case we've seen in the last few years.
Well, I know this year, because when we purchased uniforms, the price increase, even if it's for a polo shirt, was $15 a shirt. So
It's a good price for a polo, actually.
Yeah, well, that was the increase. And
That was the increase.
That's the
Oh,
increase.
okay.
So, we're talking for 100% cotton, which has to meet NFPA standards, all the units, because it's in a collective bargaining agreement, the trousers have to meet NFPA standards. So there's only certain materials we can buy. And because of legislation in New Hampshire, you can't buy FR treated or chemically treated pants anymore because it's banned. So we have to buy cotton.
FR being fire resistant.
Yeah.
So anything
No
with the
chemicals.
FR label to it has that same PFAS impregnation as part of that so we don't use, and most places don't sell it anymore, honestly, they're trying to phase it out. We're 82% spent in that line right now. I know I'm gonna have more hires this year. We have $4,691 up in that line. I don't think we've ever underspent the uniform line significantly. But I will admit, I am a stickler for holding off till later in the year because having a bottom line budget, if I have to not spend any money out of that line because we're getting close, then people might not be getting uniforms. It's my responsibility to manage the budget, so.
Well, you guys look sharp, so.
Yeah, 100% polyester. For me, I can get away with that white shirt coming in here.
I think, too, it should be noted that Melissa and Corey, our finance director, spent a lot of time with each of the departments going over the line items to make sure that the activity of the fire department, personnel expenses were properly being accounted for. And
I'm sure Corey's doing a good job coming from the old BRC as well, too.
Yeah, this was the,
I'm not,
this was the
just
most
asking.
collaboration we have done with the finance director and the assistant town manager in my entire 23 years here. So
Appreciate that.
we spent a lot of time looking at individual lines. We spent a lot of time on overtime because this is my first time going through a collective bargaining agreement update. How does that money get added in? I asked Corey to help me work on a budget with overtime that essentially was flat. I go, we're not asking for any more hours than we were in 2025. We're going to try to run the same staffing levels and this. I said, but can you help me get to that number? So this was a collaboration that took place. I've been called down more than I was ever in my past, ever, to answer questions. And I appreciate that because the more questions that I can answer, the better understanding and appreciation everybody has for what we do. So I have no issue with what we've been doing. I'm completely transparent. I'm an open book. So, but the work we have done collaborating together this year has been much, much different than in the past, for sure.
Well, thank you.
I thought the player to be named later when you became finance director was a fair deal, but evidently we got hosed on this committee.
We're very happy
You're
about
doing
that.
like a
I'm
really,
sorry,
really
but-
good job.
I appreciate that you still call it collaboration at this point.
I'm calling it BS, but
We spent a lot of time together.
Corey brought out his Ginzu knife.
Yeah. A lot of time together.
let's
this year.
collaborate.
All right, Bob, I only have one more quick question, then I'm done, I promise. Bob,
Go for it. Your turn.
just the last one, with the general equipment purchases at 45,000, with this being a tough budget year, can we
We didn't go up at all on that line for 2 years.
can we go down?
Absolutely not. I mean, that is the line. I mean, I just can't, without you seeing, I can't articulate the cost of what we use for equipment. I mean, I look at like even the ambulance, a monitor now, when I first started, they were like 10 grand. They are 40-something thousand dollars now. If I have a single monitor fail, I have no way to even pay that out of the budget I have. So every single bit of equipment that we have comes out of that line. It's just so expensive. Now, ideally, I'm not gonna spend the money just to spend it. I mean, if there's money left over, which I hope there is, then it's a win, but that is a insurance policy that we have used every single year. That is, just everything is so expensive. I mean, it really is. I know I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but I have made an effort to not go up on that line for the second year in a row. So in fairness, I feel pretty good about that.
Okay. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done, Bob.
Okay,
Anybody else?
I skipped right over the first item at the bottom of the first page of the report, 51121. You may have had concerns about that salary wage incentives, or what are they? This includes incentives to provide for the EMS coordinator to oversee licensing standards, equipment, narcotics, a lieutenant who maintains paramedic certification, and an in-house mechanic to fill the maintenance void now at Public Works, for whom I believe you're very grateful.
Yeah, very.
But there's a lot of time spent in documentation, and so there's incentive pay for that.
My question revolves around the community relations line. I know we invested a lot in Jason being part of, I think it began with you guys, and then the police, or began with police department.
Yep.
And then you guys folded. Was that a mutual separation? Did he get busy? Did we not need it anymore? How that?
No, believe me, I wish we still had Jason Schreiber, because you can see our content is not even close to where it was. Jason had a employment opportunity with Unitil that seemed to be probably too good to be true, and Jason took advantage of the opportunity.
Okay.
He's also writing for the union leader again too, so, but Jason said if something big happened, we needed a press release or something like that done, he would come back and write something like that for us. I left $1 in the line, it's not gonna cover any of it, I kept the line open. This is in the emergency management budget, so just keep that in mind, and I only say that because a lot of what we have in that budget is reimbursable through FEMA in the event of a declared emergency. So a lot of those lines get kept open with $1 because we have the ability to, it doesn't come back to our budget, obviously, but it goes back to the general fund. So a lot of times we will try to seek reimbursement, that's why we keep, because we may have to we'll drive those lines negative, and then the money will come in to offset it at some point down the line.
Is there any way to enlist like Bob and his crew to
Bob helps.
Assist on this?
Bob does for us. I gave him access, just so you know, so he has access to our Facebook page, so we can go on and make updates. He runs everything through me. But I think Bob is busy with, we're trying to, we had our operations meeting this morning. As part of this is my own fault, thinking of things where we should be inviting Bob to come and help us with stuff. And for today, Deputy Chief Fritz was at Unitil doing live fire extinguisher training. And I'm like, oh man, what an awesome opportunity to have Bob go over. So I'm trying to get better with those things. We have another one coming up at ChemTan. So now that I remember that, I'm like, good. So now we can get Bob to come to ChemTan with us. So part of that is on us to get Bob. Bob's offered to help, but I think we need to give Bob at least the idea of what it was we are looking to have him write a story about it, do something in the biweekly report.
Well, some of the other departments have made use of interns and social media and things like that. Tends to be a young person's game. Is that a feasible option, at least
I mean,
in the short term?
I will entertain, especially if it's free, I'm definitely going to entertain that.
My 10-year-old wants to be a YouTuber.
Yeah, well, so
you got anything for that?
Here is the issue with this. It's not me providing. Jason came to the police and fire station and immersed himself in the organization.
Right.
He had to be there in order to write the
I see.
stories. It's not like, hey, Jason, I have a story I want you to write. Can you write something? He would come, he'd take pictures, he'd interview people. It was much more of a, if you read it, Jason's a very talented writer, so he was more of a reporter-style writer versus, I mean, I can write, but I'm not sure if you want to read my Facebook post necessarily. So I think having somebody has to be there and really have an appreciation for what we're doing. And that's not just for us, that's the police department as well.
Well, I mean, it'd be a shame to lose that resource for both of the departments.
I kept the line open because if something does come up, then next year maybe I can come back and ask for some money to be added back. And we only had $1,000 in there to begin with. Last year we cut it down to $500 because we knew Jason was leaving just in case. We didn't use a single dollar, I don't think, out of that $500. So I felt as though keeping it open for $1 was the
Is this
the
a
right
concern?
choice.
It's not, for a few reasons. Bob and his team at AXTV are doing a really fantastic job, and I think, like the chief said, I think with some pre-planning, it will continue. I also think that Jason sort of set the bar, and now there's a format and a formula to follow for that. Oh, sorry, just.
You muted it.
I muted, I didn't even know I could do that. Yeah, it's flashing, I don't think I muted it. I don't know.
You have untold power.
I know, woo, just kidding, not sure what I did.
Speak of the communication.
That's okay, so I say, I don't have a concern right now.
Okay.
But I reserve the right to have a discussion next year if we see that it's not going well.
Okay.
I can,
Chris?
the thing with the challenge with interns too is that it's almost impossible to find free interns at this point. Most of them are getting paid. And it sounds like some of the things you have, it's not something that's like a 9 to 5 kind of event for coverage either.
Jason, we gave him a pager. Jason showed up to fires and everything else and took pictures and wrote. He was at the Atlantic Fields fire. Like, he would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go out and meet our crews in other communities and come to Exeter if we had a big event, and he'd like follow people around. And it was for $1,000 a year. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I felt like we were getting a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
All right, well,
I mean, it is possible.
keep
you could-
looking at the options.
Yeah, I'll say,
absolutely.
interns, I know, is gotten tougher these days because they are actually paid.
We certainly recognize that the social media presence is important, so we try to still get something out there, just not nearly the amount of content we had when Jason was doing it for us.
Yeah, I guess the other thing I thought though, if interns, I don't know if that's a good option, but, social media companies may be possibly looking to do some pro bono work so they can, take advantage of that. Advertisement is, doing that for the town. But that's maybe something that you guys look into if you felt it was needed.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Great. Any other questions for the chief or Judy or Don on the budget part?
We have just one remaining comment. I would love to give the chiefs an opportunity just to comment on the downsizing of the building.
Oh, yeah.
I did a summary in my report, but you might want to prefer to give some specifics.
I'll let the police department obviously speak for themselves. Much different scenarios. Police and fire, obviously, we work together a lot, but our tools and what we use on a day-to-day basis come on a vehicle with wheels that we drive to where we need to go. We don't need to meet the current the amount of, what I've learned through this process, the amount of standards and storage of evidence, it's much different in policing, obviously. They need space in the building, so I want them to speak to their part. For our part, we need space in a building so that we can have a spot that we can respond from. And why it's important to us is that we go from the mid-70s to almost 95% of our calls in 4 minutes or less. So that second station to us provides us almost 20% more of the population gets hit in that 4-minute national benchmark. The downsizing, it is what it is. We spent an enormous amount of time going through every detail of that, but from the fire department standpoint, what we have is going to provide us with the space we need with some option for future growth. It'll be a spare bunk room in that building. So if we get to 4 people out there eventually, there'll be space for them. So overall for us, doesn't inhibit our operations at all. It only made our response times a lot better. So from the fire, I'll let them, obviously I want the cops to speak to their area. Much more goes into the police department than the fire department side of the building for sure.
Okay, good.
Okay, thank you. That's it for us.
Okay, before we go over to the CIP discussion, did we get the updated benefits numbers, Corey?
Yes.
Or any other salary adjustments you need to make?
The only adjustments we have are in the benefits, starting with health, 52100. New number is 684,746, 684,746.
I missed this again.
Wait, hold on, yeah.
Health.
Which items?
Top of page 8.
Health.
52100.
Okay. And the number again?
Yes, 684,746.
That's a big
Next line down is dental. New number is 47,957, 47957. No change to life insurance. No change to long-term disability. FICA is $4,795.
And benefits total?
1,593,299, 1,593,299.
And the change to the total fire department?
Yes. The new number is $4,724,888, 4724888.
Is that about 5%?
I'd like to move that number on behalf of the subcommittee.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
I have some more numbers to update, I'm sorry.
Sure.
I'm asleep at the switch here.
Okay.
Oh, no. Sorry, because you're looking at the detail, and they're looking at the, yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just making sure we're
sorry.
not messing up over here.
Corey, do you have an updated percentage?
Corey won. It's usually what happens.
Yeah, the public safety works off of a couple of different tabs. We unpack the divisions in another tab, and
I
we were
was
just
looking
looking
at
at
the different
different tabs.
If Corey told me 2 + 2 = 5, I'd be like, all right.
Gotta double check sometimes, right?
Anna's question was on the percentage increase.
Yes.
Right? 6.4%. $283,205.
Okay, the number's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote.
And health?
Before we do that, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, do health.
What?
The health department.
What page is that on?
Page 21. Any changes to the benefits core?
1 second, sorry. No changes to the benefits. No changes to the wages, no changes to the general expenses.
And you'd already talked about the
Did you
health
got something to
officer's
wrap it up?
education, so.
Take my bottle.
Were there any other items in that division that you have a?
Masters and then get paid less.
Okay.
Move this health total, $135,720.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote.
And the vehicle?
What's wrong?
The health officer got masters.
Um,
$100 less a year.
Yes.
27 pay periods versus 26 pay periods.
That's the pay period thing. Got it.
Car shoe replacement.
Even with the increase, the pay period thing
42
shows a decrease.
Well,
of the CIP booklet.
I have
Page what on the CIP
37.
booklet?
Page 42 of the CIP book.
Okay,
talking
listen
about,
up, people.
Listening up. I'm sorry.
We just,
Chit-chatting over here.
present the CIP item for clarification, ask some generic questions if we would like, and we'll discuss it further in mid-November. So the explanation is on page 42. The description that Judy and Don have given is pretty self-explanatory. So I'm assuming that your comment of don't want to spend any money to repair anything is sort of out of context. It's actually, it's not worth spending any more money on
Yeah, I
this
chuckled.
car.
I had a chance to change that quote because Judy afforded us the opportunity to make changes, but I decided I'd leave it in there. I think my line was more or less, I'm sick of throwing good money at a bad project. So
There you go. I assume that that's what
he's
the
had a slipping
explanation.
transmission for like 6 months, and I'm like, we're not fixing it.
Yeah.
So I'm not spending like $7,000 or $8,000 to replace a transmission on the car that was supposed to get replaced 2 years ago.
Yeah, that wouldn't go over well.
So the
I have one
committee
question.
supports
Sure.
this replacement. We'd be happy to discuss in greater.
Amanda?
So I just have a question more for our listeners, just a reminder for them. So can you just discuss a little bit about the usual mileage that we replace vehicles at? Because people might compare that to the mileage they replace vehicles at and just feel like it's helpful.
Yeah, we don't necessarily, we follow the Mercury Fleet scoring. So Mercury, the town of Exeter has adopted the Mercury Fleet analysis. So that's what we follow to score vehicles, and mileage is a component of that. The one thing we miss a lot with mileage is these cars spend an enormous amount of time idling just because of what they do, whether it's a fire department vehicle or police cruiser in the same boat. But what we try to do is look, following the Mercury Fleet study, it's a 10-year replacement on this size and weight of vehicle. So they recommend after 10 years, this particular vehicle should be replaced. It's not only about mileage, it has to do with the safety upgrades that come out, the way cars are built, there's so many features. And we buy fire trucks now with 20 years for a fire truck. And even at 10 years of the vehicle, you really see a lot of things change in 10 years that enhance the safety of responders. So though mileage is obviously a concern because the more mileage we have, I mean, we did put some money into the vehicle a year-ish plus ago because it needed the front end redone. There are going to be wear and tear things, but ideally for an emergency response vehicle, you're not responding in vehicles that have the ability to break down en route. So that's what we're trying to avoid. I mean, so we figured, when Harry was here, and I don't want to misspeak because it was Eric's budget, he recommended we replace that vehicle at 9 years because of the underlying issues with it. It was deferred that year. Last year we came back, we want to come back with we want to go to a hybrid because that's what I've been driving, and I'm going to tell you the hybrid, the fuel mileage is significantly different than I could watch because he's driving the sister vehicle, the gas version, and it's recognizable around town because most of our driving obviously is around town. So it's like we're talking over 100,000 miles of around town driving. There's no commuting anywhere, right? So it's just this car is of an era where police officers had recorded their own accidents because there was the way that the exhaust was built. They had carbon monoxide taking poisoning place inside of the vehicles. I know that it's been a big deal in law enforcement, so this car is way past its expiration date. And though I chuckled at the quote because I thought it was a little bit crass that I had said it like that, but I left it in there because I think it still held value. So,
Perfect, thank you.
yeah.
And I know the public works vehicles get purchased through the state program. We get the same
Yes.
benefits on the fire?
Yes. Yep. And actually, we try to maintain a relationship with Farland Ford because ideally we want to buy local if we can. Last year we didn't. They couldn't come to the table, but I re-engaged them this past year, explained to them why we didn't buy from them. And we are all on the same page, and they are back on that state bid list for all their Ford vehicles that they would sell to police or fire departments.
Excellent. Anything else, Judy, for fire? Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you
Well,
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for stepping up and explaining various programs. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody has questions, you certainly know where to find me. I'm more than happy. The more I share, the better off I'll be. Thank you very much. Thank you, Judy. Listen, thank you, Don.
Well, you did the work.
Yeah.
And on to the police department. We have Chief Pullen and Deputy Chief McCain joining us.
Also wearing cotton?
Polyester.
Polyester.
It's a blend.
Okay.
Another 12 minutes or we're going off the rails here.
Andrew's a little slap happy tonight. Okay,
Judy.
Remember, we're volunteers, you know.
leave your brains at the door, it seems. The police department, we have here, the Exeter Police Department is committed to the model of community policing. I know I say this every year, but it is such an important part of what you do. All decisions and budgetary priorities flow from this model. Continuing its budgetary philosophy of only asking for what it needs, the department presented a very lean budget with increases mainly from contractual changes approved under the CBA and increased state training requirements. The department is to be commended on bringing in a budget with a bottom line increase of 5.1% and dispatch of 2.6% despite salary and wage increases of 10% or more. The budget that the committee received had been thoroughly scrubbed by the finance director and assistant town manager in order to understand each budgetary line and to determine the proper accounting of personnel hours and departmental expenses. As a result of this thorough analysis, this committee does not recommend any changes to the preliminary budget. The subcommittee was able to spend a significant amount of time talking with the department chiefs about their most important problem, the recruitment and retention of its officers and dispatch personnel. The department currently has 4 vacancies, that's still true today, and anticipating filling 4 to 5 positions next year. Exeter reportedly has become a training department for area towns who frequently poach Exeter officers once the town has devoted a good deal of time and resources to the officers' training. The recommendation from the chiefs is to have an academic training program through UNH and/or community colleges, similar to the Massachusetts program at Merrimack College. This professional training program would allow potential officers to receive their police certification before they apply to work in Exeter. It would be an option in addition to the usual police academy training that occurs 3 times a year and that often doesn't have enough slots for the officers needed to be trained. The subcommittee has referred this issue on to the Exeter Select Board, who can in turn refer it to our legislative representatives for them to meet with the chiefs to discuss the legislation needed to meet this critical need. The subcommittee also discussed whether the decrease in the size of the design for the police station fire substation would negatively impact department functioning or near future budget requests. Both chiefs stated that the loss of square footage reduced some nice-to-haves, but did not affect critical functions. The subcommittee supports the request for replacement of 2 cruisers. And we can discuss them in more detail when we finish the budget. Special items of interest, looking at overtime. 51130, 51425, 51430, and 55091 reflect increased state training requirements. They need officers to do the training and increased hours to do preparation and documentation of the training. So is that making sense to people with increased requirements? It's not only the officer being trained, but the other officers involved in preparing and doing the training itself and documentation of the training. So it adds additional hours.
It's actually maybe mention the amount of hours. You know, it's up to 24 hours per fireman per year, correct?
It's policemen, yeah.
Police, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, it's been graduated from 8 to 12, and now it's
Now we're up to 24 per.
Additional, another unfunded state mandate.
Aren't they all?
Pardon?
Aren't they all?
Yes, they are. 51200, Community Resource Officer Bruce Page will add the DARE program responsibilities to his duties. And I asked about the DARE program, and it's shifted over time to more of a community outreach, decision-making for the students involved. And you had said any day that you have positive interaction of department officers with the community that supports this whole community policing framework that they proceed from. 51410, under the CPA, there's an increase in sick leave that now includes earned time allowed for paternity and maternity leave. This line is the best estimate of use of that benefit, plus officers with multiple long-term injuries. 51435. The increase is to equalize pay for canine handlers. Maple versus, what's the other dog's name?
Bobo.
Bobo.
We don't want to put them against each other.
We support equality, especially male, female. Bogo is male.
Yes.
Yeah. 55043, there has been an increase in sponsorships to the National Night Out, increasing, accounting for a decrease in that particular line. 55045, computer services are now fully under the IT department. 55160, the decrease here is a result of no longer needing to send evidence outside of the state lab for independent testing. This had been done in the past. 55321, this item was reduced due to historical underutilization as part of Corey and Melissa's deep dive on these items. And under dispatch, the overtimes reflect increased salaries. The chief pointed out their salaries are now above McDonald's, and they're increased overtime, and a reworking by the finance director to bring the overtime numbers closer to reality.
Any questions?
Andrew?
I got some questions.
Raise that hand, buddy.
Just a couple quick questions, I guess. The first one is the overtime reflective of the fact that you are down staff and that's why the lines are higher this year? Or is this like we can expect overtime even if you're fully staffed to go up?
When you increase wages through a contract of over 10%, it's going to affect their overtime.
So this overtime cost is just the contractual, with same amount of overtime, just paying more? And
Yes.
but my question goes to, do we have more hours of overtime because we're short-staffed?
We are going to. Yeah, we had the luxury of saying we were fully staffed most of all last year and a lot of this year.
So this overtime that was from last year, like historical, was with a fully staffed. So now we're expecting higher overtime because we're less staffed, but that would come out of the budget of the normal salary anyways. Okay. That was my only question about the overtime. Then I just had one other quick question about the sort of the K-9 expenses in general, because I know when we talked about bringing on the K-9 unit, it was, at least as I recall, not going to be an impact in terms of salaries
That was
and
Maple.
things. But the K-9.
Community service dog.
The grant covered everything except the salary. So we always had that salary impact.
So that's something we can expect with this K-9 unit going forward.
Yeah, and that's case law. It's 3.5 hours a week to care for the dog. And we also equated that with Bailey taking care of Maple as well. She should get the same amount. So she's been increased from 2.5 to 3.5.
Okay.
So Chief, just as a reminder, the grant was somewhere north of 30,000, right? And so that was essentially a 2-year commitment by the organization to train the dog, house the dog, and get the dog up and running for the department. The only thing that doesn't get covered is the overtime that the officer, because he takes them home with him, and there's just added to it. So we've got basically a 2-year commitment to deal with the general expenses.
But then the
labor part needs to
contractual
be-
overtime for taking the dog home continues
Correct.
indefinitely.
Oh, for sure.
Which dog is this?
That's our K-9 unit, Bobo.
It's both of them.
And Mabel now, yes. Sorry.
Yes.
I just want to compliment you on your 2 young officers named Caleb.
Both Caleb's? Yes.
Both Caleb's. I had an incident in which my car was backed into by a truck in a parking lot, and I wasn't there, and the driver of the truck took off. And so the first Caleb took care of that. And he pursued it, and he went through all the cameras and everything around there. I was able to identify who the driver was and follow through. So I was really impressed with that. And so I got the car fixed, and then right after I got the car fixed, the deer ran into the front of my car, undid everything. And that's when the second Caleb joined me to sort that one out. So anyway, I think that someone else was involved too, who was going back to see if the deer was lying around.
Hire more Caleb's.
Anyway.
That's the lesson I'm taking.
I must say that I was impressed with how each of them handled the situation.
It's great to hear. Thanks.
I just had one more question about the dogs. How much of their expenses is offset by the badge sales and other fundraising?
So the patch sale, yes,
Yeah.
so that goes towards Maple. We started
Uh-huh.
that for Maple, so it doesn't go
Okay.
towards Bobo at all.
Got it.
But we're pretty much breaking even with Maple on those. It fluctuates year to year depending on vet visits and whatnot. But we raised over 5,000 this year, and we did the same last year. So we sell out every year, so that's good.
Thanks.
I think Corey's looking it up right
mission
now.
is different.
Bobo is much different.
And he turned out to be very useful just a few weeks ago.
Very early on, his first week on patrol, located us a person of interest that turned out to be arrested for alleged homicide in Newmarket.
Nice.
So, yes.
Wow.
Nice,
Anything else?
Okay.
Would you like to comment on the downsizing of the proposed police station, fire
Sure.
station?
So
With critical
some of the
services?
downsizing happened really early on when we were with a different architect. We had different drawings, right? And we didn't really know our budget at that point, and we were drawing a pretty extravagant building with a lot of things in it, a lot of nice-to-haves. Fast forward a little bit, we get net zero attached to it. We get a different architect, really drill down on it, and we do not need a lot of the things that were initially on there. None of it affects services, doesn't affect programming. Example would be having too many cells. We're not a jail, we don't house people overnight at our station, so we don't need 4 cells. We don't need 2 sally ports, 1 is good. All little things like that, and there's a whole lot more. Square footage of hallways, we didn't need this giant hallway, we can shrink that down. We really, through the town folks and through the architect, really processed this thing down into something that is gonna work. So it's not, we're not at the point where we cut. If we needed to make more cuts, then we would say, okay, now we might have an issue with some things, but we're good the way it is. So, thanks for asking.
So from your point of view, all critical functions were preserved with an eye for the future, that you can expand a bit as needed. You're not going to be coming back here in a few years wanting more money for.
I will promise you, I will not be coming back.
He'll send somebody else.
Since I'll be the one that's still here probably. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, no. One thing I will say, some examples of ways that we looked at this building were, I think the original drawing had 2 floors at 14 feet high. So we shrunk the ceiling height. And correct me if I'm wrong, because actually Josh and the chief work pretty hand in hand with the architects, but there were certain parts of the building that didn't need certain depths of cement, so the slab might have been shrunk a little bit. Or I know Josh has been looking at certain furniture to bring that cost down. We talked about the design of the outside of the building, whether that was architectural masonry or something less. We brought it down less. We just had a meeting Tuesday where they had some masonry on the inside of the Sally port and the apparatus bay. We asked them to change it to painted concrete block. So we are trying to pull out things in the budget that don't change the functionality for the 2 departments. Obviously, there's some functionality change because we're now 19,700 square feet, but we're working on things that hopefully don't change their programmatic requirements.
Yeah, something as simple as, instead of having a roll call room and a report writing room, we compiled it. Roll calls only use 15 minutes a day, 3 times a day, right? So why not have one giant room for roll call and report writing? So utilizing spaces for more than one thing. And we got pretty good with that at Court Street, so.
But for $17 million or and change, the police station's not like gonna be like a dungeon, right? Like,
No.
it's a terrible
no
experience if you're
No,
ever gonna
it's
need.
still beautiful.
Sorry, if I don't want to ever get into a police station, it's probably not for the good reason, so.
The one thing that we were able to do was,
Should be
this has
like
been an
community.
exercise of we thought out the layout and rethought it out to the point where this flows.
Okay.
It makes sense. If you're in law enforcement, it would make sense to, if you weren't in law enforcement, to track certain avenues or the experiences that we encompass during the day. You'd be like, oh, that makes sense because you can just keep going. This is the way it should go.
Right.
And I'm thinking about something as an arrest. It generates paperwork. It goes to this office. It just files all around and it ends up here instead of running up through all the things. So there's been a lot of thought going into the actual way that this building will operate.
And the experience of people who may be ending up going there, I hope. Not
So
just your
architects are
experience,
supposed
but
to
like
do.
the community's experience, you have to
Form
interact with the
follows
police.
function.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Is there a handcuff?
You'll enjoy it.
I'm thinking about my teenagers probably screwing up
Enjoy your
at some
time.
point.
As he flows through the building.
They'll give you the feedback, wow, Dad, that station was
Oh, yeah.
Really nice.
Hallways were a little tight. but-
Don?
I'm not sure, this may be for you, Melissa, but the contractor was to come, I think, last week for the land clearing
Sorry, say that again?
for the site.
For the police station?
For the
Okay.
police station. And they were going to make that assessment with the boulders and the rocks and the
Oh,
granite.
now I know what you're talking about, sorry. I think we were talking, our construction manager put out for site work, we're hoping to start at the end of November because that's where our biggest changes could happen. Hopefully not, knock on wood, because the building's a basic rectangle. There's really nothing flashy with the building. But what we did was we knew that that site had, in the other lots adjacent to it, significant ledge or different boulders or that kind of stuff. So I'm going to say this wrong. So is it conditional or unconditional? I keep getting it mixed up. Unconditional. So essentially they're going to start the footings, the foundation, everything that needs to start, and no matter how much ledge or how many boulders, we have a max price. So for
That's
those
good.
of you that were following the siphon situation,
I was going to say, if
there was
our
some.
for the siphons,
That's the model we're hoping to follow.
Correct.
We haven't gotten to that.
That's right. So that is what we're hoping to do with this process. That's what we're costing out right now. Is that what you were talking about, Don?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Liz?
I have a question unrelated to all those things that we've talked about. For years, we've heard that officers are leaving for other towns and communities. Is it that they're being offered more pay? Is it that our training is so excellent that they want to come here to get trained and go somewhere else? Like, can you just speak a little bit more to that? Because I saw it in here, and it sounds like it was a big conversation. I'm just trying to understand more.
And it's not, and you've heard this at the select board level and other town levels, it's not just an Exeter problem.
Yeah.
And there's no concrete either way, like why aren't they coming here or why aren't they staying here? The most recent one was a 3-year workers' comp injury that was not able to return back to work, so that was an opening. Another one was commuting from Milford, New Hampshire. And he a great officer, 10 years plus with us, but when you live in Milford, there's only so much you're gonna be driving back and forth for an hour of court or for overtime. So he went to Milford and also was gonna make a little bit more money. And then most recently, another town, kind of not too far from here, is offering an officer with 3 years on, $8 more an hour than Exeter, even with this new contract. So, and they've all said they love it here, they love working for us, and they love the community, but they have to make decisions for their family and for things like that. So, but it's not just an Exeter problem, it's all over, and the police academy doesn't have staff to even have academies. There's a test called the Great Bay Test that is a written test, and it's for the whole region, from York, Maine, all the way out to Derry. All the agencies pull from that. It's a test that we took over 20 years ago when it was the Macintosh College in Dover. Hundreds and hundreds would take it. We had less than 20 last week.
The last one before that was 11.
So the International Association of Chiefs picked up on this issue 10 years ago, the decline in people wanting to be police officers. It's only gotten worse, it hasn't gotten any better. When we sit across from people on the oral board, the number one thing, we say, what's one of the biggest issues in law enforcement? We used to get the war on drugs, we used to get gun violence. Now it's people don't like you, people hate you. So I don't know if it's just, why would people, and then why would you come do this job and then have a big chance of having a high divorce rate, alcohol dependency, prescription drug dependency, PTSD from all the things we see, overtime burnout, and still not make as much as if you could be IT, you can work from home, you could do. So it's hard to pinpoint, but it's all over the country. And it's definitely the Seacoast. We were lucky to be able to say, for all last year, most of this year, we had full staff, but it just caught up. It just caught up. We have, and the word poach is a tough word, I don't want to use that. It's kind of the nature of the business right now is the officer will pick and choose and can go anywhere they want. And if they're here 2-3 years, we're not seeing a whole lot of, they don't live here because they can't afford to live here. So it's tough. It's a tough situation. That's what keeps us both up at night, which I guess is better than being up because of a high crime rate in this town. We don't have that. But it's tough, especially now you throw dispatch in the mix, and that's a whole nother animal, and that's police and fire, they dispatch for both police and fire, where they can go to another town and only do police and make more money sometimes. We did bring them up. The town and the taxpayers voted on bringing them up very graciously in the new contract. So hopefully we're able to retain that. We just hired a retired Mass State Police dispatcher of over 20 years. So that's great, you get that experience. But that's tough to keep somebody in dispatch. It's, now they're in a small little cubicle, basically, for their entire shift, and they're doing police and fire, and, yeah.
If I may, if I can ask you to speak to sometimes the differences when the small departments that don't have unions, what that does, what they can bring in people. So I don't know if you guys caught what he said, but $8 an hour for an increase.
So we're up against.
Crazy.
Yeah.
We're up against places with no unions that can offer whatever they want to offer, right? We're up against hiring bonuses, $20,000, $30,000 just to be hired somewhere. We're up against people we just had an applicant that spoke 3 languages, and he told us a major city in New Hampshire will pay him a stipend for each language that he knows. I mean, we can't compete with that. So they just, for what we don't see on their, on their hourly rate, they make up in all these other, we have good stipends too, but places have more stipends.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's just really challenging because we have a great department. I feel like the chiefs do a good job supporting. I feel like BRC and Select Board do a good job supporting. The community supported an increase in the CBA, but we are losing people for, in some cases, some pretty significant increases to their pay.
And we're not, we have no one knocking our door for a lateral transfer, and that's where the town and the department really takes a hit, because you're looking at 9 months before a person can be on their own by themselves taking calls. Whereas if we have a certified person, it cuts that dramatically down, but they're not.
Wow.
On the plus side, a number of things the town has tried to do over the years, and I think has affected morale, are the mental health supports that you have. The chief instituted a different form of communication, more lateral, more inclusive, and that's affected morale. And when we get a nice, beautiful building where officers actually have room in a storage locker to put their stuff, they'll no doubt feel a little bit more welcome and appreciated. I'm sure a new building could help with retention in its own way.
Okay. Corey, updated benefit numbers for police?
Yes, just to health insurance, 729,254, 729,254. Dental insurance, 47,996, 47996.
Benefits total?
1,612,326, 1612326.
And impact on the total police budget?
Yes. Total police department budget, $4,594,480. 4594480. 6.9% increase.
6.9?
$296,089.
Okay, I'd like to move that number, $4,594,480.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Dispatch?
Sure. Page 20. benefit update, Corey?
Yes. New healthcare number, 99,131, 99131. New dental number, $7,788, 7788. New benefits total, $180,230, 180,230.
And dispatch total?
566,298, 566,298. 5% increase, $27,069.
I'd like to move that number, $566,298.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And do you want to talk
Thank
about
you.
vehicles?
Yep. So on page 35, the budget book is vehicle replacement. And included in that is
35?
35 of 30.
Oh, not the CIP book.
No, it's not in the CIP.
Oh.
35 of the budget book of the PET tab 2. And the cross-reference is in tab 8, the third page in. Vehicle purchases, 2 new cruisers with complete outfitting. And the reason why this is in the budget and not as a CIP item is because the police cruisers are used so much, both on a time and on a constant usage basis and integral to their operation, obviously, that it has been classified an operational expense and not a capital improvement.
I believe we had forwarded a nice write-up that the chiefs did about their program, Judy. I don't know if you saw that or not, how the vehicle replacement works for them and the why behind it all.
Yes.
I thought that was,
over the years.
yeah,
Yes.
I thought that was a really good
Yeah.
description and justification for the ask that they have year over year.
Is it 2 a year you guys are doing, roughly?
We used to do 2, then 3, then 2. Most recently, last year, we got 1. I think the year before that, we got 0.
But didn't we use like proceeds from some bond to buy 2 last year? I remember that being a Warren article or something like that.
Last year.
It would
That
have
was
been
the
a
year
Warren.
before?
I'm lost for it.
Exceed, SX, if you can answer that.
What
Tried
you're-
during COVID, right after COVID.
What
Sorry,
Carl's
I was-
referring to is, the chief put together vehicle life cycles.
2 years.
First life cycle goes for 3 years, it's the frontline usage. Second life cycle, 4 to 9 years, back from first line to a criminal investigation division for detectives, and then the third life cycle. That's for 10-plus year vehicles. The oldest cruisers are both reserve and detail cars. That's right. By that time,
By that time, they get
So
shunted off to Public Works.
2024, we had them, we purchased them through the use of excess bond proceeds, so it was a separate warrant article. We used up some money on projects that had been idled. Last year, we only did 1, and then now we're trying to go back to full.
2.
Yes.
So at 2, 1, now we're back to 2.
Really a 0, 1, 2.
What's 1?
Over 3 years.
okay, the subcommittee supports the request for the replacement of the 2 cruisers. This would amount to about $138,000 for purchase and outfitting. The first vehicle, the Cruiser 12, Ford Explorer, it has 166,633 miles and had difficulty passing inspection last year. Cruiser 16, Ford Explorer, 163,416 miles. It was put off being replaced last year, so they're requesting this. Of course, passing inspection is no longer a problem.
Yeah, it's not any fun. Problem.
Worry about
Fine.
that.
Your staff,
Those stickers cost a lot.
There's still equipment laws on the books.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want an officer skidding out with a rusty frame or something.
So you'll see in that vehicle replacement number, the top number, $257,113 are the ongoing leases, which again in tab 8 on that third page are described at the top. There are 7 vehicles across various departments. And then below that are the 2 police cruisers, $138,000, which is the 57012, for a total of $395,113.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
So why is this section here and not in the police section?
Because it's part of vehicle leases or purchases. It's just a separate item.
They're all police.
Nope. If you look in tab 8, there's
Oh.
fire, there's.
So the ongoing
flood
ones
Police, the
are
motorcycle, sidewalk tractors, dump trucks.
So we have a budget category of vehicle replacement, and in there it's the leases and capital outlay vehicles. It could be police cars, it could be something else. It just
Okay.
happens to be that we utilize that for police.
I think the intent
vehicles.
was, we do have a lot of leases and outright purchases, so we could sprinkle them around the departments, but then the description gets a bit unwieldy. This puts everything in one tab, and you can look and see, all right, this is what we have.
Thank you.
So Judy, do you want to make a motion on the vehicle replacement, since most of them are police or fire?
We are, you want me to do what?
Never mind.
I'll make it.
Go ahead.
For $395,113 for vehicle replacement.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Are those hybrid cruisers?
Hey, you know what? The very last page in our binder is the vehicle life cycles.
Yep.
Oh, somebody already put it in there for us.
Hey.
Yep.
yeah. Look
Ham
at that. Never, I have made one.
But we didn't get the nice color-coded table, which is nice.
No.
Bob?
No
Took me a
Yes.
while to get that.
I don't like
The only other item left under that general government total is the fire protection, and I think you wanted to hold off and have a conversation about that at another time?
I do.
Okay.
During the water
Okay.
discussion in 3 weeks, and then we will circle back and approve the miscellaneous.
Great.
Thank you, though, for bringing that to our attention. Okay, any other comments or questions by the subcommittee or otherwise?
Thank the
Thank
chief
you.
Thank you.
Thank you to Judy and Don, and to the two, the chief and deputy chief, for putting this together. Appreciate your service.
Great question. Thanks.
Our next meeting is next Wednesday, the 29th of October. We will be discussing the Public Works general budget, basically all public works except for water and sewer. And that will be at 6:30 at this location. I think that's it for the night, unless somebody has something else. Corey?
Yeah, I did get in touch with Primex this week to talk about the various increases in insurance that we talked about during your first meeting, particularly the property and liability, $96,000 increase, and the extinguishing of that CAP, the CAP program. So the Primex was asked by state regulators to sunset the CAP program a couple of years ago. The program I think in their eyes, if I'm getting it correctly, was perhaps creating some unintended consequences around fairness of allocation of premiums between municipalities, those in the program versus not. So they were asked to look at it and consider sunsetting it, whether they were told or asked nicely, I'm not sure, but nonetheless, at the end of this year, CAP program goes away. And just as we thought, where we had a nice even 7% increase, it was muting what was happening with our values in the property we had, whether it be vehicles or buildings or anything else. So when the cap was lifted, our values went way up, much like a revaluation on your house that went from $289,000 to $500,000. Same thing here. The cost to replace our insurance policies are on a replacement cost. So whatever it costs right now in the market to replace a building or a vehicle, that's what it's going to cost. So that it's fairly straightforward that way. I had asked if there was any notification that we missed in the flurry of this year, and he said no, they hadn't notified any of the municipalities ahead of time until they gave us our renewal packages. So I made the stern suggestion that in the future, future notice would be really nice around something like this, and he seemed to understand it. So that's the story. We didn't miss anything, but we are living the unfortunate consequences of losing that program.
Okay.
I just had one comment
Sure.
I wanted to make. It's unusual for our subcommittees to present budgets with absolutely no changes that we're recommending, and I just wanted to commend both Melissa and Corey for the deep dive that you did. What I heard from the chiefs was that they did experience it as collaborative. They appreciated your interest, and all the questions that you asked came across as interest. And, clarification of their work and how it's translated into numbers. It was a lot of work, I'm sure, on your part, but everybody seemed to appreciate the detail, the interest, the collaborative nature, and hopefully getting it right so that the budget reflects their realities and what the town needs to have these services properly
Yeah, we
funded.
certainly want to make sure they get what they need and they can justify any of them. But I mean, given what you all and we all are facing in our property tax bills in the next 12 months, we would be remiss not to make sure that nothing that wasn't needed was in this budget. And even beyond that, I mean, everybody got asked the question by Melissa. I made her. She did it. What if you had to live without something? What would it be? And think about getting rid of it now, because if you don't, you could go otherwise. And so, just really wanting to be respectful of what voters are going to be facing here shortly. And you heard it. I mean, the chiefs. They spoke to the labor challenges that these guys are having. So as much as we want to not, maybe pay 10.5% in union contracts, to some extent, what choice do we have if we're fighting other communities that are having the same challenges?
So do we have any sense of where other communities are getting $20,000 for sign-on bonuses?
Well, if you don't, I mean, it depends on your labor structure, right? We talked a little bit about, do you have unions? Do you have flexibility? Do you not have flexibility? We don't keep anything in our budget that's if someone decides to come, we want to offer them $20,000, let's have that money in the budget. We don't do that right now. It's not to say we couldn't find it, but to some extent, I think our labor contracts
And
make
we
it more
have
challenging to do
expenses
something like that.
we have expenses as a community that a lot of other communities don't have too. Our water situation is a big one.
Yeah, so we have a pretty appropriate size departments for our community base and what we're looking for, but when you go against a community that only has 5 or 6 officers, then they only need one more, or they might be able to find $20,000. You know, it's challenging for us. That becomes an equity issue amongst the folks that are staying here too. We definitely hear that. So it is really, really challenging. We're building culture here. When we see these people leave, they're not, oh my gosh, I absolutely hated it. Thank goodness, that makes me feel good. I wish they would stay. But it's very challenging, and we have not figured it out right now, or right yet. We're not alone. Seacoast, we know housing, insurance. I mean, it's very, very challenging. Liz, I didn't mean to.
No, I was
leave
going to
you.
ask, does the town do, this is going to seem silly, but like exit interviews with these officers of like what are the holes
So
and
the chiefs
pushing
do
to
them.
police And sorry, not just officers, but like folks who do end up taking other roles comparable
the
in other
applicants.
communities. Yeah.
So we do all of the, HR does all the non-union, and DPW, police and fire do their own sort of exit interviews, and then I touch base with the chiefs. But I wish I could give you a better answer. I don't mean to sound tongue-tied, because I feel like for 3, 4, 5 years now, we've been saying we need people, we need people. I mean, I got 2 phone calls today in 2 different departments that 2 different people were leaving. Because when I started working in public government, there was not the poaching that's happening right now. You either.
That was a professional courtesy.
Correct. Like at the time, I mean, I remember 6 or 7 years ago, if you took someone else's person, you got on the phone and you talked to that town manager. All bets are off. Now everybody's trying to beg, borrow, and steal. So it's very, very challenging. And we care about our employees. I mean, what do we say to somebody that says, I have a family and they're offering me $8 an hour more? I mean, I'm gonna try to convince you to stay, but I don't have a lot of ground to stand on in that scenario.
I hope the select board will take up this issue that the chiefs had mentioned of having another option to the police academy. The police department has to wait for openings to come up in the police academy, and perhaps they've hired an officer, 6 months before that officer can't perform police duties as they wait around to get fully certified. The academic option would allow for people interested in becoming officers to go to an academic program and get police certification. Then they go and get hired on their own dollar, which is of interest to the state, I would think. It's a program that the students pay their own course tuition fee. And then the students go to apply to a police department, and they're already ready to work, just with background check and the specific training that department requires. So the town gets a lot more value out of that approach, as they can hire officers and have them go right to work right away. And that would be a much more satisfactory experience for a new hire as well.
And so another thing that for police specifically, one of the things that we're also running into is not as many people want to be police officers.
That was apparent.
When you used to have these tests and now you have 11 people. So I'll give you an example. I was talking to the deputy chief the other day, and they're in the background process, which you can imagine is somewhat exhaustive process. And there were a certain number of slots in the academy. Well, you can't contact the academy and say, I have someone, can you hold this slot for me? Their background has to be completely finished. So he's concerned, it keeps changing. There was 12 spots, now there's 11, now there's 10, and he can't rush the background check because we have to do our due diligence and get our responses. And so he's over there. So even when we can find somebody that we'd like to bring on as part of our team, we have some parameters with the concerns of the police academy and how limited and how difficult it is to get those people, when we do find them, into the academy. So there's a lot of, I feel like I hate only bringing negatives to the table. I'd love to give some answers. I don't have any right at the moment, so we're working on it.
So one piece of positive news is our new.
Thank you.
Our new HR director started this week. So that's great. That relieves.
That was Monday, right?
What's their name?
Her name is Kelly Correa.
Yeah. So we are definitely hoping that she can help us in our leadership team sort of brainstorm, if we can't do it with dollars, can we do it with, environment and culture, and what can we do to make this a place that people are like, I may not get all the dollars, but I get this instead.
Yeah,
And
that's
so-
what I was trying to say about the culture that Chief Pullen has established with his change in the communication mode. It's much more frequent, it's horizontal in nature rather than the previous militaristic line that had been used before. So the culture in the department is much better. And when they can get lockers for people that put their stuff in, that's going to make a difference.
What a bonus.
And not to be negative, Nellie, but we're expecting a change in the economy, which will make police positions much more attractive if we have economic downturn.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting until next Wednesday.
So moved.
Second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
See you next Wednesday at 6:30.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube